Next presentation, we have Trimble new products. And here we're going to hear from a couple guys with Trimble, Pete Mestemaker and Skylar Newmeyer. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that okay, Skylar, if you can hear me. Just a quick intro to Pete. Pete's worked as a surveyor for 9 years in Colorado before joining Trimble in 2005. His roles at Trimble have included training, working with the marketing assistance and testing team for geospatial, and now sales for the Western U.S. distribution partners. He is married with 2 kids and lives in the Denver area.
All right, thanks. So first of all, I just wanted to, again, name's Peter Mestemaker, as Troy said. Worked with Trimble now for about 18 years. So I've been here for a little while. And first, I just wanted to thank Monson for giving us the opportunity to run over some new products that we've got here today, Skylar and myself. And wanted to thank everybody else that's taken time out of your busy schedule to attend this users group meeting today. It's always been very informative and useful. So I hope you find that with our presentation as well. So what we're going to talk about today is the Trimble X12. It's a new top of the line scanner that we have, the R780 GNSS receiver, and then I'll pass it over to Skylar. He's going to talk about the MX9. So like I said, the X12 is a new scanner that we released third quarter last year, and it sits in the top of the portfolio that we have. Just going to look at some just a technical overview here. So this is a phase-based scanner. So unlike some of our older scanners, the TX8 or the X7, which we released just a few years ago, that is a time of flight scanner. So you get some differences with the phase shift scanner. For one, you get great range, ultra high speed. One of the things I want to point out here is the minimum range. Okay, that 0.3 meters, that's going to be the lowest on the market that's available today. And then again, a working range out to about 250 meters. So with the phase shift scanner, besides the ultra high speed that we talked about, the range noise is also very minimal. So that's just 2 great features of this scanner. It can scan up to 2.2 million points a second, again, which is one of the tops, top in the market. The scan durations, you can go from anything less than half a minute all the way up to over 2.5 hours. Okay, so with time of flight scanners, basically the setting that you had on those was simply your scan density or your registration. One of the things that you'll see here is with a phase shift scanner, besides being able to set the resolution and the density, you also get some quality settings on there. Okay, and again, we'll talk about that in a bit. From an environmental standpoint, this is an IP54 rated scanner, which is quite good. It's got a 2-year warranty. And then one of the other things about this scanner is it's got great vision capabilities. So for one, everything is HDR. It's all parallax free. And then we have LED spotlights that are incorporated there. So anyone that is used to or familiar with high density scanning, you have a rotating mirror in the center. The laser source sits off on the side. You have a rotating mirror in the center that basically throws out the laser to capture your scan points. On the back side of that, this scanner actually has a camera and those LED spotlights that sit there. So that's how we get these parallax-free images. So as far as the scan densities go, you've got 7 settings there. You can see those off on the left-hand side from preview down to high X10. Okay, and what we're showing here is just some spacing with the different scan density settings. Now, again, in conjunction with the scan density settings, you also then have quality settings, right? So this graph now shows both of them in conjunction and the corresponding scan times, right? So again, if we do a preview scan with a quality setting of balanced, right, there you're looking at the 23 seconds, right? And if we go all the way up to the best quality setting at the high X10, there you're, up and over 2.5 hours, okay? So each time that we change one of the scan settings, what we're doing is we're reducing the range noise by a factor of 1.4. Now, the flip side of that is when with the higher quality scan data that we're collecting, we're increasing the scan time by a factor of 2, okay? So you can see from our testing team, they've got some recommendations here as far as what you can typically use where they found good results with this scanner. Now, again, you may find that your project or your requirements may require some different settings, but you've got you've got a multitude of options there. Now, one of the things that they also recommend is that if you are going to go at the highest density or the highest resolution setting, that may be really applicable for area scans. So what we're looking at here on the right-hand side, this is a basically a screen capture of the onboard UI. Okay, so with the X12, you can operate it with the onboard UI. We'll talk about this in a bit, but you can also operate it with Perspective, okay, which is our field software to run the scanner. Any of you that are familiar with the X7 would be familiar with Perspective, but we can operate this scanner, again, onboard. We can do a hybrid model where we're using the onboard and Perspective on the tablet, or we can just use it through Perspective, okay? Now, as far as capturing the images, again, I've already mentioned this, but all of the images that this scanner captures are HDR. So we can either do fast mode or quality mode. That's just going to determine the number of images that it takes to generate the HDR image, okay? And again, it's going to have an algorithm on there that's going to decide how many images it's going to take depending on the lighting of your setting, right? So, one of the things, again, this is fairly unique, is that we've taken this scanner into completely dark or black, like mechanical rooms. And if you've got the light enabled, you can actually capture very, very high quality panos in that area, which again, that leads to a high quality colorized point cloud as well. So here's the built-in lighting. Again, we call it the smart light. And again, you can turn it on, you can turn it off depending on your lighting settings. What you can notice is that sometimes it will actually reduce the number of images that need to be taken. Okay, so here we're just going to look at a couple images, right? So this would be what we would see on Perspective on a tablet. All right. Now this is actually a stitched pano of a scene, right? You can see the mural on kind of those wing walls of that tunnel. All right. Now if I go to the next one, this is actually the colorized point cloud. Okay. So again, you get 0 parallax with this scanner. Again, fairly unique because it's hard to get that coaxial camera with the mirror. And again, just really, really high quality images, okay, which again, can always help the individuals back in the office who are putting this data together and generating deliverables with it. So Perspective, we've already talked about Perspective a little bit, but I am not a scanning guy, okay? I came from surveying background. So scanning is a little bit of a paradigm shift for me, right? Going from collecting every point that had meaning to just collecting mass data. And Perspective allows me to feel comfortable using scanners, to be quite honest with you, right? Again, we've already talked about the flexible workflow, right? Where you can do onboard. You could use a hybrid model where you use the onboard and Perspective on the tablet, okay? Or we could just use Perspective, right? And we'll talk about some of the features here that Perspective provides. So for one, the scanner control, right? So that resolution slider bar that quality slider bar. Again, we can control all that through Perspective. We can run Perspective either through Wi-Fi or cabled up to the scanner itself. Perspective gives us in-field registration, so it gives us a lot of confidence about the data that we've collected, right? Knowing that we can leave our project site having collected the necessary data to meet the requirements of that. One of the things that we released with Perspective when we released the X12 were area scans. So again, not real practical to go out and do a full dome scan that takes 2.5 hours with the highest resolution and highest quality setting. Okay, I don't know a whole lot of individuals that would go out and do that, but with the area scans, you can take a preview scan or a scan at a lower density, lower quality setting, and then we can go and take areas of interest, right? And then we can get really, really fine detail on those areas of interest, right? With Perspective and the in-field registration, you can then do in-field measurements. We can do annotations. We can make comments in there, right? So what that can allow is to help the people back in the office, right? A lot of the times what you may see is that you have one person that collects the data out in the field. You may have a different person in the office that is putting that data together, right? And so, these annotations, these comments, that can really be helpful to that individual in the office. And then, of course, we can export, right? So we can export to Trimble data formats through TDX. We can export to, industry standard point cloud formats like LAS. And then, again, some of those more specific ones that maybe Bentley or Autodesk may use. So here's just an overview of the X12, what would come with it. We sell it in a couple different forms, right? So you can order it with a tablet or you can order it with a BYOD. But basically, in general, you get the scanner itself. You get the Perspective field software. Okay, here we're showing it with the Trimble T10X tablet, which is a fairly powerful tablet that you can use out in the field. You've got the carry case and then the Gitzo. So that's not everything that comes in the kit. But those are the main items. And then, of course, on the software side of things, right, we can either process that data through Trimble RealWorks, which is our dedicated point cloud software, or Trimble Business Center with the corresponding scanning module with it. So here's just kind of an overview of the Trimble portfolio. So from right to left here, okay, on the right side, we've got the Trimble X7, okay. That's our, I would say, our entry-level scanner, okay. 500,000 points per second. Okay, in the middle, we've got the X12, and again, you can see the onboard UI right there, okay. Again, great range on that, 250-meter working range. And, you can control images, all the scan parameters, everything like that. And then on the left side, we've got the Trimble X12, right? So the X12 is a 1-second robot that can scan at approximately 27,000 points a second, okay? And just a very, very unique, innovative product that we came out with. And, I know Monson has had quite a bit of luck selling those as well. So before I jump into the R780, do we have any questions on the X12?
Yes, we have that question.
Yeah. Where is it?
It's on your phone.
Yeah.
Oh. Actually, Pete, we do have a question that hopefully you maybe have gotten some insight on. Not sure if you can see this from from Chris Albers. Chris is asking if it compensates for drift over a longer scan time.
So, I know, Troy, with the X12, what we do is we check the tilt parameters before the scan and after the scan. Yeah. I don't have the hands-on experience with the X12 that I have, for instance, with the X7, with the newness of this scanner. So Chris, that might be something that I need to get that question from Troy and Emily, and then get back with you on that.
Sounds good, Pete.
Do
Any
we have
questions? Any questions in the room for? Go ahead. He might be able to hear you. So
Okay, I'm curious about its target acquisition in terms of backsites, like backsighting for a full network. Does it just pick them up regularly, or does it need to shoot them specifically?
No, so the recommendation would be that you do a type of a preview scan, and then if you're using targets for registration or georeferencing, that then you would do a higher density area scan on that, so that we could do the target extraction. Now, one thing that I need to point out is that Perspective in the field does not support target extraction. Okay, that would be something that we would need to bring it into RealWorks to do.
but you can do the survey point in Perspective though.
Well,
Right.
so Troy, this isn't
Not
like an
through the
X7 where we can do a precise point, okay? If we're gonna do georeferencing in the field, what we would need to do, again, is my recommendation would be to do a higher density area scan, okay, of our georeference point, because then what we're doing in order to georeference it in Perspective is we would go in, we would pick actually one of the scan points to match up with, our previously surveyed point that has, XYZ coordinates on it.
So it's actually an easier workflow using that approach versus the precise point in Perspective. So that sounds good.
Okay. Anything else?
Any other questions from the group? It looks like no, Pete.
Okay, we'll just cruise on.